Okay.
Good morning and Jai Shri Krishna to everyone. I am Dhaval Bhatia. On behalf of Team Drshtikon, I welcome you all to the 10th session of Drshtikon Talks. As you all are well aware, at Drshtikon we have the leading Bhatia personalities who come and share their views and ideas with us. We would like you all to get the maximum value addition from these talks, and hence I would request you to keep your mic on mute and turn off your video so that there is no distraction while the speaker is talking. Any questions you may have, you can type into the chat box during the session. This time, the format of the session is changed to a question answer format, and your questions might be taken up during the session itself. If there are any questions which are left, we can pick it up and take it during the end of the session, as well as if there are any further questions which are left unanswered, we assure you that we shall respond to the questions by email after the webinar. If you have any further questions, feedback, or suggestion after the session, you can convey them to us by email at drshtikon.talks@gmail.com. Our speaker today is Suresh Parekh from Mumbai. I request Rajen Jeshrani to introduce our speaker. Over to you, Rajan bhai.
I, Jai Shri Krishna. I, Rajan Jeshrani from Team Drshtikon, welcomes Suresh Parekh, better known as SMP, to friends, and Suresh to others. Belongs to one of the renowned business families of India, the Parekh family. The family has their presence in Mumbai, Gujarat, and Kerala, and have been business since the pre-independence era. The group business spans across various verticals spanning across the ship operating, marine terminals management, shipping agencies, warehousing, container freight station, ship owning including the tug and barge, and the hotel industry. The South India division focuses on the trading of timber, timber products, and spices, while the other family division focus mainly on the shipping and logistic industry. Suresh Bhai is a graduate in microbiology and has been in the business since 45 years. He has been involved in the family team in various roles, be it business creation, leading a business vertical, or being a part of the managing team in the various business interests of the Parekh group. He has changed more lines of activities than many businessmen, but all changes of responsibility have been within the joint family group. The Parekh Group is one of the few family business houses which have successfully managed family cohesion and business growth without any serious misunderstandings. Suresh Bhai specially acknowledges great coordination from his hardworking brothers, nephews, and the support from professionals in the group for achieving success. For the last decade, Suresh Bhai has been heading the tug owning company Polestar Maritime Limited, which is the second biggest harbor tug owning company in India. It serves many ports and marine terminals in the west coast of India. Suresh Bhai is also an avid reader and has been vast treasure trove of knowledge and experiences, which we will share with us today in the talk The Road Ahead. Today's session will be in the form of talk between Suresh Bhai and Prashant Morparia. I request Prashant to take it ahead.
Good morning and Jai Shri Krishna to everyone, and a hearty welcome to Suresh Bhai to come on Drshtikon Talks. We are very happy to have Suresh Bhai here in all our pre-webinar meetings and interactions that we have had with Suresh Bhai. He has come across as a very dynamic gentleman and as a person who's very flexible with age. His talk, his experience, and his outlook, I'm sure will impress all of us. So I welcome Suresh Bhai on this talk.
Thank you very much, and it is nice of you. In fact, till last month I did not know that what is Drshtikon, and after knowing more and more, it is an interesting initiative. And at our age, which is 65 plus, we owe it to our next generation that we share our experiences. Recently, I read a book called Die Empty, where author says the richest place on the world is crematorium or cemetery, because the world's best idea got buried or cremated there. So I believe that people like us should think it differently, and we should share our ideas, and we should also make the people aware that life is positive as well as it is doable. And with that attitude, I also feel that being Sunday, and on Sunday morning, I have to ensure that our audience enjoys the conversation. So please feel free to express. What I don't know, I will not hesitate to say I don't know. What I know and whatever I've experienced, I will be glad to share with all Bhatias, as I'm proud to be Bhatia, and that is how it is. Thank you.
Yeah, Suresh Bhai. So now that you are there on the talk, we would love to get your point of view on various aspects. But starting off, please let us know of how you got into business and industry, and what has been your journey of 45 years till now.
It is, I would put this way, that in a joint family, you don't have many options, especially if you want to join the family business. So when I completed microbiology graduation, and the marks I got was nothing to talk about. So joined the family business, and in those days we had very small family business in Mumbai. We had strong family business in Kerala. So we were trying to learn the ropes of it. First 3 years were like, some best bowler in the world throwing bouncer at you. You don't even know where does the ball come from. And you try to protect yourself, but in most of the cases, one or two ball and you are gone. But after 2-3 years, we realized that this is the way business is done. This is the way expressions are made. This is the way we can approach the customers. And first major break came in after 4 years, that is in 1979. That was thanks to my late chairman, who is no more there, and he had the vision of pushing the companies to that. So we started with shipping, and then we were operating out of 210 square feet, me, my uncle, and my cousin, and two staff. So that is the way we started. And slowly we came up. I mean, frankly, our life did not have many upheaval. We never saw the extreme poverty. We never saw the extreme success or anything like that. But the journey was going on. So during the process, after learning, after observing from others, slowly we realized that the business possibilities are more and more. That, along with our great family's support. Here I must say that Our Kerala home was a foundation for our family. My cousins, more than brothers, Mendra Bhai and Vittal Bhai has been president of various associations, their party association at Cochin and Calicut. And the only thing I have complained against my Kerala family is that when I was young, they used to call me Thadian, and I thought they are complimenting me, but I realized that they were telling me fat, which I still am. So it was funny that how the friendship, how the relationship there. My elder brother Harish Bhai is president of our Kantibata community in Mumbai. So there is a bond between Bhatias and us. Now coming back to the business, when we started the business, it started growing up. Growing up, one of the biggest advantage was our own family manpowers, and I think the real professionalism came in late 80s. And once India got liberalization post Mr. Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh, then more and more opening up and for the younger generation for fathom the situation. In 1976, when I was 21, I was in Kandla and there was a cyclone. It took 4 days for me to talk to Mumbai office and convey that I'm safe and our ship is also safe. In those times, they used to have lightning call, and in lightning call also we had to wait up to 10 hours at the post office. You don't know when the phone will come. Then the telex came, then the fax came, and to get one smallest permission, it used to take years and years. So in those days, growth was small. The difficulty of just managing and surviving, and this led to naturally, like most of the families, saving-based growth. And only after 90s, we started thinking that if we invest in business, more and more money, and then you have more and more opportunity. So good thing was that we had my seniors in the family were supporting us to travel. The more you travel, more you understand. More you understand how the people what they expect out of you, and those experience we tried to apply in India. And frankly, when the India's growth came post 90s, we were beneficiary of that. We started growing with that. But our exponential growth came after 2000, I think 2000, 2002, when my nephews also joined. So at the peak, we had 15 family members working in the group. So I used to tell of small jokes to my family in internal meeting that my Baba went for holiday to Singapore for 7 days in 2005 or 6. And I had never taken 7 days holiday to Singapore. So I was amazed. And then I thought a theoretical that if we all 15 become barber, how much money we can make in Mumbai. And it was not as bad as we were thinking, So what I'm trying to explain, the manpower and the unity we used to have, optimum over there. We have achieved good success. Our other group companies, our Goa hotel is considered to be, in 2016, we got as one of the top 100 hotels of the world. Definitely one of the 10 in India. Same is our warehouses, our container freight station, which is not looked after by me, which is looked after by very capable nephews. And they all are doing very, very well. And they all have been different models. And the most important thing, which family business people can understand, we all are different personality. If you call a Zoom meeting of all of them, you will think this is a big museum. Everybody's talking different way. Everybody's thinking different way. Some are risk takers, some are holiday maker, some are, everybody has his own life, and we never be judgmental about it. And we have realized that the diversity has helped us so much in the life to grow. And so I would say that our life has been otherwise uneventful, except twice I had almost near to death scare. But that is, I think, most of the human get in their life. But life has been smooth. Life has been very, very pleasant, and life has been successful. So it is not so complicated, and there's no very great. There is nothing personal, very big, except that we worked very, very hard with concentration.
So it's good to know, Suresh bhai, with your 45 plus years of experience, you would have seen business with right from the time when there was a lot of control on industry to the time it has been liberalized and maybe in certain ways we can say a more capitalist environment from the earlier partly socialist environment. Other than that, you have also seen at least 3 or 4 generations in the business. So what is the difference you see in what we had in the 1980s to the business that you handle now?
Firstly, bygone is bygone. Second thing is that we have to realize that we ourselves, I think one of the biggest mistakes we all made is that we thought that the money is a root resource on which you can grow. Money is very important resource, but not the only good resource. So we learned that during those government permissions and government dealing, which even now, I don't deal with complicated people. In business, if I have to do temporary dealing is one issue. If my client is too complicated, I'll tell you a small story for you to appreciate this example. We were bidding in the east coast of India for a terminal contract where I met the port officer and I told him that the tugs what you are using is underpowered. So he told me, am I port officer or you are port officer? I said, of course, sir, you are. So he told me that don't teach me. Do you have anything to say? I said, yes. I only one thing to say that till you are on the post, I will not bid in your port. Because when you don't know how to protect your port, when you don't know how to deal with your vendors, even after arrival, I will have a lot of problems. And I don't want to name the port. That port had a huge pollution problem, and only because of that officer's political connection with the central government, he could survive. So when you deal with complicated people, and when you so in our time, we have to deal with more complicated people. This generation is fortunate; they have to deal with less complicated people. In turn, this generation has to, because of social media, because of the availability of various communication and information, they have to the information move faster, so there is nothing like secrecy or anything. And in that, they have to compete very fast. They have to adapt themselves very fast. So the biggest journey, what our generation had to see, whether you could adapt to the fast changing world from managing XYZ person to actually adapting yourself to competition. And once you understand that, you may or may not succeed to your expectation level, but your goal is clear, your way forward is clear. So I think that our generation, just one, our generation laid the foundation. They had their own merits over there. But this generation is also too good. So till we are adapting to the changes, until we are not believing in larger than life. As if somebody writes Sri before my name, I believe the Sri is only Srinathji, nobody else. And if the parents, you can convey to your parents or your elders. But we all are normal humans, because when you meet most of the people, they are normal over there. So if the people, our achievers and everything, if they keep their ego in check, if they take the success not going over their head, then sky is the limit. India still has a huge potential of growth, earning more, and also more success in the very any field what you are talking about. So I do not think the changes are plenty, but I don't think that we should focus on the changes. We have to think whether desire to adapt to the changes.
So are we right in understanding that I guess business in every decade has its own requirements? It's how you adapt to those requirements at that particular time will dictate the course of your industry.
And also our fear of unknown, we are extending it. I'll give you a small example for you to appreciate. We all are, last 6 months, we all are reading Corona at least 1 hour a day. If you just Google it, in India, every year 98 lakh people die. In Corona, government says 100,000 people have died, maybe 200,000 people. But in 6 months, 200,000. So by law of average, let's say in a year, 400,000 people will die. In 98 lakh, 400,000 is less than 4%, or just 4% or something like that. Balance 96, we are not worried. So our situation is that our negativity overpowers our decision making. Our negativity makes us we can't think judiciously. One of my friends' father died at the age of 85, so I gave him condolence. First thing he said, "Oh, Papa ke corona na ho." I said, "Otherwise, Papa is on his mind, something like that." Because and I don't blame him, because the negativity has overpowered us. So in any field, every generation, even this generation will see the change in next generation with access to information. Also, one of the biggest thing is the rich all over the world have become richer after globalization. So challenging them by ideology or philosophy is not going to work. During this crisis, you can see the maximum money is made by tech companies or Bezos or Mukesh Bhai or whoever it is. So they benefited out of the crisis, while we are stuck with fear. So we can't compete with them, but I think instead of firstly understanding what is happening, the changes, I will give you one very interesting example because you are from Telangana, is that Amul is coming into Andhra Pradesh. So I was surprised why Amul Andhra Pradesh, why it is going. I spoke to my friends who are senior in dairy industry. They say in Andhra, the milk is controlled by Chandra Babu and his community. So
Heritage Dairy.
counter that, they have brought Amul over there. So it is a political decision. Now in political decision, things change, everything over there. In India, so many complicated decisions are taken politically or socially. You heard about Sushant Singh Rajput. Now everything has died down because there is a political settlement that happened last week. Finished it. So what happens when we see the changes? Do not see change as a challenge. You say change is inevitable. Within the change, how much I can adapt myself, how much I can synergize, and how much I think that I can benefit out of it. And I'm very, very sure that at least 7 out of 10 cases, the benefit will outweigh the losses. Something.
So, Suresh bhai, since you are from the Parekh group and the group is very well known for its family and family businesses, it's very natural that there would be a few questions connected to family businesses for you. So one thing I would like to know, in the earlier generations, people would want the youngsters to join the business as soon as possible. It was more of learning by experience. Now, do you think that things have changed? Do the families in the business want their youngsters to come in with little more of formal education or more specialization, or do they still prefer that the youngsters join in as soon as possible and learn from the experience of the seniors?
My personal feeling is that children should educate more than what they were doing earlier at our time. My younger daughter is a chartered accountant and she had done 2 courses in Harvard. Now she wants to pursue food business. So the field is totally unrelated, but I would like to give her a chance for 2 reasons. That I believe that if you join business at the age of 19 or 20, and if you join at 23 or 24, the level of maturity is totally different. That 3-4 years, it makes big difference. Also, it makes difference that in those 3-4 years, they have interacted with a lot of people of their age who has aspiration, who has dreams, or who are clever, or whatever it is. So something which they have absorbed will also be useful to them. Only disadvantage of more educated youngsters joining family businesses that sometimes, or in general, the education makes you so methodical and so much fear of unknown that your ability to take the gut-based, intuition-based, the decision dilutes. I've seen a lot of young people who are very clever, very methodical, great reports, everything, but you tell yes or no, that they cannot tell. So their ability to take the risk, every business has a risk. I'm not talking financial, but decision-making risk. Sometimes young generation, educated young generation is slightly more risk averse than a brat or 19-year-old brat or something. If you make them fear, then not worry if you fail over there. Behind all this glorified discussion I may be doing, I have seen a lot of business failures also. And I admit in many of my vectors where I made mistake, what I learned from it. So similarly, youngsters should be told, if you do any work, if you get 6 or 7 times right and 3 times wrong, that's fair enough, something like that. So I would say that let them study, but also make them fearless and intuition-based ability to take decision when they join is the key, that whether they join at young age or otherwise. But I would prefer better to join after more studies.
I guess that level of specialization that they will get in will definitely help, along with the mentoring and advice from seniors. So when you have a youngster joining the business, what is the kind of mindset of the seniors, and what is the kind of hand-holding that the seniors are expected to do?
We used to have first 10 years, they cannot work with father. They have to work with uncle only. Because that was giving them a perspective. And sometimes what happens, So here it was like that uncle can kick. And I was very unpopular uncle. We are very tough with them. And also, even now, like my nephew's son, who is the first grandson, has joined, two of them, and they have to work under from our professionals. They cannot work directly. And even their designation, first 10 years, they are not made as a director. First 10 years, they will be executive or manager. Even my daughter, she's Drshtikon, she works partly for our finance, etc. But her designation is only financial advisor. She is nothing more than that. Till she reach to a level whereby I can give a directorship. So children, let them learn by mistake. Children, let them work under professionals. And you request them either they should travel or read or do both. Now, presently, what is happening, unless you travel and read, because everything other information is available on Google. In fact, what we were studying when Shivaji was born, etc., today, no children are interested because they can find in Google. So, in Google era, how to be updated, how to be analytical, and how to see beyond obvious. Once these children know that, and once they are able to understand that, then they are worthy of being called themselves as owners. So, induct them, make them vigorous, and most importantly, there is no substitute to focused hard work. You, after this discussion, whoever is listening, let them talk to 10 people whom they think that they are more successful. All 10 must have worked very, very hard during the struggling time, and also they must have worked with a very focused point. So during those focus point, if the people are not, people are deviating, thinking, I have a small thing, we Indians do not take business and physical and mental health seriously, but we take life too seriously. Actually, it should be other way around. Now you think over, if I enjoy my life in whatever fashion I wish to do, that's fine till you are not overindulging. And in turn, if I'm focusing well with concentration on my work as well as on my health, physical and mental well-being, then sky is the limit. More opportunity will come. Opportunities never end in a country like India. But we are doing other way now. So I think if children are taught, they do indulge. Don't stop them. If they is going to coming home at midnight till is, of course, is discipline and everything. It's fine, if children do it, but make them aware that work is first. So what we do is that initial years to our youngsters, we let them go to branch at morning 6 o'clock flight or 6 o'clock train. Before that, they have to get up at 3:30 of shower and everything. So firstly, they understand that life is not full of cake. That is the initial lesson. And then the branch managers generally are told to be very tight with them. So they cannot, branch manager will not take them to restaurant or modest restaurant. So they understand the value for money, value for this thing, value for relation. And when they come back, branch manager has to give report about them, what they felt about, and this fellow has to give report about the branch manager. So you can understand how they are thinking. That is the way we build up, and the process, it has been very successful so far.
I think that is a very nice way of inducting the youngsters, as well as some feedback mechanism for you to take a decision on their capability and compatibility with others. But in the whole scenario, nowadays, a lot of family businesses are getting professionals inside. I think, say, post previous in 1970s and 1980s, the idea was more to have family people at all responsible posts. Now, slowly, there are a lot of professionals coming into the business. So, how do you see this change of getting more professionals in the family business? Is it a good change? Is it a step in the right direction?
I would say the professionals are very good at execution. We have some of the brilliant professionals. But creativity of the business and the vision for business, generally the family member does better than us. So if I have to work, I don't think the last 10 years I work average more than 4 hours a day. I don't think so. Of course, I'm monitoring messages and that's fine. So idea is that in these 4 hours, I think of creating and take company to next level, risk reward factor, understanding what competitor, what market is doing, travel more to understand, read more what to understand. And the most important thing is that how to create, because creation is not only for money. I have more money than my grandchildren need. But that is not the question. Question is I have to create. When I've created a business, it should be created for the legacy. Not legacy only for family, but also for the industry, also for the people whom we are dealing with, also somebody realized that our Indian can do it. When you meet a foreigner or anything, you think they are smarter than us. They are not. I have dealt with many of them across the world. And what we are looking is that when the children, professionals, when you bring, I would say that professional, depending upon the professional's capability, don't give them so much of creative work, but give them good execution work, and they are good at it, so that you focus. You will be surprised that so many people do the execution because they have nothing else to do. So if I have to book my own ticket online just to save maybe 500 rupees, I can in the airlines only. But the question is whether I use the same time to create something or increase my knowledge, and whether that was more rewarding. And this one, it is personal perception over there. And also, when family member is too much into execution, the argument increases. In creativity, there are no argument because the boring subjects or not many people are interested to be creative. So I would say that thumb rule, 70% creative, 30% execution for the family member, and 80% execution and 20% creativity for professional. I would think that is the fair thing.
So that gets, I think Nitin Asher has also asked this question. That means a little separation of ownership and management, where the owners focus, as you said, on creativity and growth, and the management, which would consist more of professionals, would concentrate on the execution and day-to-day working. Is that the way we are talking?
No, not necessarily. So I would say that both have to work as a team, but the way forward, family member can decide better. So what we do that we have suppose I have got an idea that I want to do so and so, and I leave it to, I debate with my professionals. So I give them message, that is what I'm thinking. And then we have meeting, either presently it's on virtual call, otherwise it's genuine, otherwise face to face. And so far, I don't hesitate to tell you that only 6 out of my 10 ideas actually materialized. Four went into round file, we call it as dustbin, because my professional could convince that this idea has its own demerits. So we allow the debates over them. So they are part of the management team. They are not like, "Aapko ye karo," or that is what he will do. That is not my definition of professional. Empower them, involve them. But which way company is to be taken forward is something family, because then there are emotions, there are legacy issue, there are succession issue. Now suppose professional says that instead of truck you buy a ship, but my next generation may be risk averse, then what do? So there can be situation like that where your family goals or aspiration of your next generation is not in sync with the professional what they are thinking. At that moment of time, the creativity should be left to owners and acting. But every time use them as a sounding board. They can be a fantastic sounding board if they believe that their genuine advice will be heard and you are capable. I think one of the biggest thing is that you have to convince to your team that you can reverse the decision. So there are many decisions. I think in this week I must have done at least 10 decisions. In fact, one of the things which I do is interesting, that every Saturday, and this was the time, today we are talking, otherwise every day 1 hour I sit talk to myself alone, what I did in last week, whether it is interpersonal relation, whether it's business, whether it's finance, whether it's interest rate, whether it's expansion, whether it's my health, whether anything, And wherever I've had or wherever I think I have scope of improvement, next week I can catch up, because before the damage is done, I do it. So by talking to them, so Saturday afternoon, generally I send my thought process on certain issue to my professionals. And Monday, till Monday, they have time to think. And then Monday evening or Tuesday, we talk. By Wednesday, it is decided yes or no. That's the way we work.
Quite interesting. And it was interesting to know how the youngsters are inducted into the business. So when the youngsters are coming in, what is the mindset of the older generation? How, what are their acceptance levels for the new ideas, the new processes, and or do they expect the youngsters to follow suit in what their decisions are?
Fundamental is, are you conflict focused or resolution focused? Who is right becomes more important than what is right, especially in Bhatias. If you see the history of Bhatias in 1940, Bhatia and Kapoors were controlling the economy of Mumbai. And then the Marwaris came and then the Jains came. They are still controlling substantial of them. So what went wrong? And there is a beautiful book in Gujarati called Maharaj, which was showing how the priest behaved. That's a religious side. But where I've seen during our family growth also that so many family members are on conflict and they are not on solution. So then you continue arguing over there. So in our family, we were very lucky. And I must give a lot of credit to my cousins and my elder brothers. I'm the youngest in our generation. That they focused more on resolution of the problem. I mean, resolution of the problem, you have to compromise at least in 2, 3 out of 10 items. And everybody compromised. So that bitterness was not so much because everybody compromised. So elder generation, I would say, please don't underestimate younger generation. They are clever, they are more knowledgeable, they are the future. Second thing, they are your own blood. Third thing is they are going to inherit legacy and they are going to be your successor. And it is up to you to give them confidence that you will be better successor. Today, initially, a child wants to be known as a child of so-and-so. But we have to encourage them that one day we should be known as father of so-and-so or uncle of so-and-so, something like that. So that once the young elder generation understand that we will talk anything as a friendly on a conflict resolution. And when you talk one-to-one with the children, I tell my nephews that please don't worry when you fight with me because I used to fight with my uncle also. So it's a legacy, there's a way we joke about it. So idea is that when you make them realize that other side is going to listen, your half of the problem will be solved. And if you see the pattern of elders should also realize the pattern of dispute is you love somebody, you like somebody, the pattern is fixed. Then you interact somebody, then you slightly disagree. And after disagree, you go into slightly more aggression. After aggression is dislike, and finally it is contempt. The process is on for any family, any company, anywhere. So during that process, at what stage you are doing the damage mitigation? And I think damage mitigation in families are easily possible. Children can do much better if children feel that my parents are not going to be over advisories or anything. I think most of these motivational speakers make money out of making fear in your mind and telling you, hey, don't do this, which we already know. So just we implement with our own family, treat them as a friend, go out for movie with them, go out for a meal with them or whatever, or holiday or whatever is possible. And tell them to open out their fear, open out their dreams, everything. If their dreams are doable, take some chance. And like today, I don't know whether my younger daughter's food business will do well or not. I have no knowledge of food industry, but I want to give her a chance. If she fails, she will be wiser, and if she succeeds, she will be hero. Both way I am benefiting. So if we take young generation with that angle, then I can tell you that young generation will deliver superb results. I saw on the list that Mr. Bhatta's son was one of the speaker in the previous Drshtikon.
Mr. Bhatta's nephew, actually.
Nephew. So Bhatta Sahab himself was a royal. And when you meet him and when you see him and when he was explaining, when I was young, I used to be zapped. Because we were not able to think like that, but we learned from that. So it's nice. The next generation is succession plan is there and everything over there. It makes very nice feeling when you meet people like that. And our thing is that when our elders were there, we used to have our cousins and everything to help because our maximum wealth till 75 or maybe up to 80 came from Calicut and Kerala. So we understand the contribution of them. On a personal level, I have written a family book, 55 years of 60 years of my family. It's only for my family circulation, only to give the tribute to my elders. And it is not exaggerating anybody's larger than life, but told that what values they put, where we improved, where we made mistakes. And it is a history compiled in a proper fashion. So I think elders should respect the young generation. Then only they can get the respect. Otherwise, what happens after a certain age when you are close to leave this world, you have a lot of bitterness. Why have bitterness? We can move forward. If there are less bitterness, we can be beautiful country and beautiful people. Maximum problem is that.
I think Suresh bhai, your group has probably got the perfect equilibrium between experience and energy, and I think that is contributing to the efficiency of the group, which is wonderful. But now with the 3 or 4 generations in the business and maybe the 5th generation coming in, how do you manage the passing of control to the younger generations, or how do you plan the succession in this kind of scenario?
We did it simply that after 1982, not a single company is in name of Parekh family. All are like my company which I am heading is Polestar. You have to Google it to find out there is a Parekh company. So firstly, we delinked our family name from it. Second thing, what we did is that we are no more equal shareholder in all companies. So the person who is managing, he gets more share. He also gets more profit sharing out of the income what he is generating if he is adding. So some business you may not have resources or capability to do more than one company, that I can understand. But if you can do 2 companies, and if you tell that this particular, or within one company also, that this vertical you are managing, it is your idea, you are growing. So in this vertical, whatever is your earning, this much is your more share. And you be the face to the client, you be the presenter or negotiator or executioner, everything. Wherever you need my expertise, wherever you need my context, wherever you need me to intervene, I'm here. And if you fail or if you think that you are faltering, I'm only one phone call away and I will try to balance it as much as I can. So we have done it successfully over there. In fact, when we have a code of conduct that when our next generation is sitting in the meeting, we don't sit. Because if you sit, people like our generation gives too much advice, So we end up giving unnecessary advice. So what to do? So don't sit, fine. And when you don't sit, they make mistake. And then sometimes your client know us, or they are thinking that we are respect. So they give us feedback, positive, negative, whatever it is. And then we try to mend it over there. And once, twice, thrice, allow them to falter also. So I think we have allowed our children to falter in up to a reasonable limit. We have allowed our children to go independent, dealing with the customers and learn from experience of the life. Because if we protect them too much, they will not work. So please, my first advice to elder generation is when young generation is negotiating with customer, you don't sit in the meeting unless it is essential. Allow them. Let them see about it. So we have done it and it has given us tremendous dividends.
I think when a senior is sitting in the same room, most questions are directed towards the senior. The junior generally doesn't get the importance or doesn't get a chance to speak. So I think your idea of not having the senior in the room puts the onus of decision making and the satisfaction of decision making on the junior, I guess.
Yeah,
So
also celebrate their decision making. Even if the decision making is wrong, ability to take decision itself is a big decision.
There is a question by Sanjay Bhai Jasrani saying that earlier people had a lot of value for experience, as was my first question, that businesses would want their children to join the business as soon as possible. But now the focus has changed to education. But still, there is always a debate between the personal intellectual capital and the family financial capital. So what is your recommendation for the upcoming family groups to tackle this?
You are asking the risk taking ability, or risk taking method. That is what your question is.
No, my question is more in the sense that you have some of the family who have come, whose financial, let's say financial stake in the company may be a little less, but they may be coming with a little more intellectual capacity or more qualification, versus some others in the family who may be coming with a higher financial stake. So at that time, how does the decision making or how does the control play out?
What we have done is simple, that the person who is managing, they get extra directorship remuneration or partnership remuneration is over and above the percentage of shareholding. Because it is a big mistake if we think that the person who is not contributing or who is not in position to contribute, get the same reward as a person. Now take example, if somebody is traveling abroad for the business for 100 days, and somebody who is not traveling at all, naturally their lifestyle, thinking style, everything will change. So with that, over the years, there will be lifestyle difference, there will be social circle differences and everything. I do not think that it is a good idea that same shareholding. We have done away with it. And individual wealth within our family is also substantially different, but all are well off and all benefited out of this understanding. And biggest thing is the family bond will continue. So please do not keep the same shareholding. If a partner is not working, even if he's your brother, you have to politely explain that, but my nephew is, my son is working more and he need to be rewarded. It cannot be on a straight line jacket. Straight line jacket, nobody buys it.
Interesting. And Suresh bhai, over last 40, 45 years of experience, you must have gone through some glaring difficulties or some roadblocks. So please share with us any particular roadblocks which you had an issue and you've been able to bypass, not only as a family business, but as a business in general.
Actually, plenty of roadblocks and plenty of failures also. And I would say that expressing those failures in today's generation will not work because they laugh at us. Because this era, those problems are not existing. I will give you a small example for you to fathom how it was working. In 1982, one of my, we are the shipping agent for foreign shipping line. And one of the ship, which was actually owned by a Pakistani, but based in Dubai. And the ship sank in the berth at Mumbai port. Owner ran away. Crew also ran away by taking Pakistan embassy permit. The ship is, sunk ship is lying here. And liability, what port imposed on us, was more than our family's total wealth. So, and I was the head of managing this. So naturally, my uncle's wealth would have gone, their home would have been sold, Dagina would have been sold, everything would have been gone. And law was on our side, but you know, in India, how the law gets actually executed. So we are not sure what can happen. At the same time, I was engaged. So what is happening? My would-be life partner thinking that we must go for a romantic movie. While I'm thinking a bankruptcy ho jayega, to kya ho jayega? No, something like that. So we had passed through a lot of those things and the stress and this partly swollen face is because of those stress of yesteryears, partly because of me neglecting the health. But all this crisis in a different form comes. Suppose your client do not pay you. Suppose your production do not happen if you are in manufacturing. These things are part of the game. If you are not willing to be part of the game, then I would say then one should think twice before becoming entrepreneur. You know, it's part of the life.
And generally, family businesses also have this continuous debate of debt versus capital. What is your take on that? How much should be the capital, or how do you regard the taking of debt in the business?
Actually, my elders were never taking debt, and I think we lost a lot of opportunity because of that. Presently, debt is cheapest. Most of the business in India, even now, unless you are in a very good business or very bad business, the return on capital employed is between 12% to 18%, depending upon which business you are. But the debt is much cheaper. So I would say that the easiest way for a joint family business, because you don't want family to suffer in case something goes wrong. Thumb rule, if you can keep, that is 30% of reasonable worth of your enterprise, or till 4 years of your profit. If that much of debt you can take, it is reasonably risk-free. Because debt has one big advantage. If you take, suppose today, because of our company's reputation and size, we get money from State Bank of India, HDFC at 7.5%. Now, suppose I am earning 12% on my business or whatever I am earning. That return on my capital increases when I take 30% debt. Because 12% comes out total money. So we don't take long-term debt, and we take debt which we can service within 3 to 4 years of our profit we have to forego, and it will never be more than 30% of fair value of my enterprise. If enterprise become bigger, I take more debt. Enterprise becomes smaller, I take some. So I would say that take debt something. Another big advantage of debt is that it will keep your books in discipline. It will also keep there your personal expenses. You will not fritter away because banks will be watching in many forms because banks are cleverer than all of us. So when you are expanding, when your balance sheet is getting stronger, if situation demand, if you want to expand further, if you want to bring an outside partner, if you want to do joint venture with somebody, balance sheet is the first tool on which they will take you seriously. So don't worry so much about the debt because please, our generation had no choice but to be, I would say, saving-based growth. But I would say that this generation has a great chance to do mix of saving-based and investment-based growth.
Because also the taking of debt helps people put their capital in other places, and maybe it also helps not having, in a sense, a family having the higher capital may probably land up having a higher say. So a judicious balance there, I think, definitely helps. There's a question from Nitin Bhai Ashar. He's saying that as and when the new generation comes in, there is a major change of guard. Very few organizations continue with the old guard. So when he says old guard, he means with the older employees. So how do we manage this adoption of old employees with the next generation?
It depends upon the area of business what you are in. But my personal feeling is, see, loyalty as a on merits because loyalty and sincerity. But that is not the only merit. So we have to balance between that and competency. So if anybody who is told to go or who need to be gone because younger generation thinks it differently, should be given enough dignity and enough security to do it. What we do it, I have never sacked any person. And when I deal with them, when a staff is deteriorating, I call them or my next to me, our senior vice president called them and explained them that you are deteriorating in productivity or knowledge or whatever it is. Better you improve it. We are here to help you. We are willing to give you educational classes. We are willing to share the fees of them. But you improve it. Because generally, old generation's deterioration is not overnight. It is like diabetes. It slowly increases. Second thing, old generation has a big difficulty is that they stop learning. How many people you know who are above 35 and who wants to spend time on learning? Very few. In fact, when I see a youngster saying that on the Sunday they want to sleep late, unless they are working extremely hard, I am surprised because abroad, people work from Monday to Friday. You ask anybody in the US, they go to work at morning 8 o'clock. And in the US, there is no time 8:30 ko aaya, lekin 8 o'clock likha, that is not on. So the amount of work they do on Saturday, they do their household work, and Sunday they sleep so that they feel rejuvenated over there. Yet your free time, your learning time. So old generation stop learning. Even young generation has this problem. They are not taking the hobby or they are not learning. So when you don't learn and the world is full of Google or Amazon era, the world is moving forward. They don't care whether you have knowledge or not. So the people who are not learning, they've been left behind. But if you tell the people when they are deteriorating, that better you back up for your own family, for your own job, for on your security, then they will understand. But if you tell them that you allow them to deteriorate for 15 years and then you tell them that, Baba, this is what happened and now we have to remove you, that is not very pleasant, I would say.
But at the same time, this is something that happened in most of the public sector banks. As and when the private banks came in, they got in a lot of IT, and their customer service was much better as compared to the nationalized banks. Now, nationalized banks had their own set of employees who were there since so many years. They were not very IT savvy. It took them a long time to change. And meanwhile, most of the private banks like HDFC Bank or ICICI or at that time Global Trust Bank, they ran away with a lot of business just because they had the younger employees, they had better systems, and they had a not younger management exactly, but at least younger thinking management. So when you take a similar situation in a family business and you realize that a competitor is probably able to put in those changes faster, whereas sometimes your employees are dragging you down because of their resistance to change, because they are used to working in the manner that the older generation is, then how do you make the change?
Leadership incompetence, I would answer very different way. Leadership incompetence is way of life in India. If you meet senior politicians, I've met plenty of them. If you see senior businessmen, if you see even senior actors, everything, our competence level is much below the global standard. And it is not that competence level is below global standard, but we are not realizing it. That is bigger problem. So what happens? We still live in the past glory. We still live in the ideology of "Hamare zamane mein aisa hota tha." It doesn't work anymore. And today's generation is least interested. Today's generation is very much interested what is on the table. So when you explain to them that in the banks, I have very pleasant experience of dealing with State Bank of India. I would not say about other public sector banks. That I also very pleasant work with NBFC. And we realize that both has its own merits and demerits. The biggest thing is that in a government, procedural delays are there, the talent cannot survive. Just to give an example, the managing director of State Bank of India is drawing 25 lakhs of rupees. And Aditya Puri walked away with 900 crore rupees bonus. There's a difference. So there is a lot of things which a government cannot do and government cannot. Secondly, the government will not do the business in future because frankly, you have to see the politician's mindset. I don't know how many politicians you actually did. After this, Rahul Gandhi said, "Sood put ki sarkar." All politicians have only one interest: give dole and get the poor's vote. So politicians don't care whether the banks are working or not working. Politicians don't care whether the businessman survives or not. All this Desh Bhakti and Ram Mandir, that is fine. But the question is, in reality, those who cannot perform, or those businesses or the organization like public sector bank which cannot perform, they will close down or they will merge and there will be more job losses. So either people have to buck up their sleeves or they look for alternative career, or they have to realize because even blaming government will not work because government themselves don't know how to handle it because they don't have the domain knowledge or competency. So instead of, I would say if somebody is in government department, they have to understand whether the department has future or not. If not, whether anything can be done to keep their family and careers as secure as possible. In fact, now joblessness.
Sorry, please continue.
So I think the joblessness will be the biggest problem India will have next year.
It's interesting that you came out with the political scenario also, because with the recent talk of the China infiltration and banning of Chinese apps and government talking of keeping off Chinese products, how practical is it? Can we actually stop trade with China, or can we actually reduce trade with China directly or indirectly?
After this Ladakh problem is over, all of you go to China. I'll arrange a meeting, and there is a Bhatia there who will escort you in the China as a friend. He's a businessman there. It's a different country to understand. China has firstly, and I would always request, spend time on understanding China, Japan, because these are the countries you learn a lot. China banning is not practical. They talked about banning Chinese app. It is one issue. The Chinese mobile are sold in Amazon as if there is no tomorrow. So, only thing is, what this government is doing fantastically well is to bring Chinese on the negotiation table. And it depends on how Mr. Trump is, or anybody, or by then what they do and how they deal with the China. I doubt very much whether even America will cut off with China what we think by reading the paper. I doubt very much. It will not happen. And also must not realize that you must realize, must not realize, you must realize that China has $4 trillion of foreign exchange reserves. They have a lot more money than we people realize. So China is strong in their own might. By all probability, by 2025, China will be number one number one economy of the world ahead of US, maybe earlier also. But where China is erring, firstly, their human rights. Secondly, the technology on communication and other things is better than US. But on pharma and defense, still US is. And thirdly, US dollar is a global currency. Yuan will never be because of the Chinese policy. So synergizing with China and coexisting with China will be the way. And our purchasing power of India because of sheer population will be used as a bargaining power, where I think this government is doing quite well. So forget about China getting banned, and because of that Indians are getting more business, etc. Of course, under Atmanirbhar Bharat, there will be a lot of advantage given if you manufacture in India or if you are creating something in India, that will come. But wishing away China is not possible.
But in many ways, Suresh bhai, if you see in the last 40, 45 years or somewhere around the 1970s, 1980s, India and China were almost on a equivalent kind of position. And from then in the last 40, 45 years, China has just galloped away. So where have we missed out actually?
Actually, argumentative Indian, one single reason. How much we argue on every issue, how much time we spend on everything. If you go to China, the newspaper are of 6 pages. And they have what they send online news for English reader is totally different than what their newspaper write. So Chinese people have no knowledge what is happening outside. Till they are given the comfort and they are given the decent life. And I can tell you, they are given fairly decent life contrary to what we are reading. They don't have government election, but they have, like when in India, when they remove the slums, they bulldoze it or they take them into confidence, whatever. In China also, 60% people have to vote. But the catch is that if 60% people don't vote, then that local communist party leader is sacked. So he coerces or he pataos or whatever he does, but he does it. So, and Chinese, in terms of productivity, has improved a lot. On certain industry, quality, never underestimate this Huawei product of 5G, what we are not going to accept, or their electric vehicles are far, far superior than Americans and far, far cheaper. Because I deal with them, I go there, I've seen them how they work. It's totally different world. So they are superior in many ways. Now, if we think that we don't want to deal with somebody who is superior to us because of so-called ideology, presently in the world there is no ideology. And it is only my interest, short-term and long-term. In the short-term and long-term, if you mix our religion, if you mix our philosophy, if you mix what happened before 50 years, what British did before 75 years, it is a good reading for people who are interested, but it does not yield anything. So if we debate less, if we argue less, and if you focus on the core competence, that is better life for humans. Now today, imagine for 6 months we have COVID. How many new hospitals were created? They could have easily taken a hospital, hotels, some hotels on the lease and put ICUs there. Hospital with jati. And you charge the customer, that's fine. In Mumbai today, nobody has problem of COVID. Everybody has problem hospital mein bed milega ke liye. Why? So our priorities are wrong. We have too much ideology in the name of everything. And that is where we are missing out. I also feel, and very few Indians like it, we work lesser than what we should. Because we don't spend enough time acquiring knowledge. We don't work as hard. You see the blue collar workers in China, you will, even if we can't copy them, you will get an experience how they deal.
So are we working less hard or are we working less smartly?
We are working more hours, but our priorities are wrong. Our productivity is wrong, and we spend a lot of time on social media. We spend a lot of time on argument. We are more interested in sensationalization. And if you see any sensationalization, politicians and media has become smarter. They give you sensationalize, and after some time, the sensationalizer topic changes. The idea is that they want to put the people, so 1 week it will be cricket, another will be drug, third week it will be China, fourth week it will be Pakistan. And the rotation, same rotation comes and comes and comes. And we are sucked into it. Religion also. So politicians, you must understand the political side of it. Today, the first dole-based economy came from Tamil Nadu. That DMK, they were giving 1 rupee rice or whatever it was. Then it came in southern India. Then North in any case did not have money. So it started. Now today in India, everything is dole-based because it is their votes. So by virtue of that, if they are coming to power and if they know that by giving doles, which is not their own money, they can continue to survive, then why should you make people work? Now, if government of India says that we are feeding 60 crore people during COVID-19, that is fine. But if you see, if you are giving 60 crore people without working, why should they work? So it filters even in our work culture, our time cultures. So many offices open at 11 o'clock. Nowhere in the world office opens after 9 o'clock. Nowhere. Only in India. So we first 2 hours lost over there. In between, if our lunch is half an hour, we'll take 1 hour to this. So our productive time we are using it less. So where we are compromising, we don't have enough hobbies, we don't do enough exercise, we don't entertain ourselves over there. So we work like Raja and holiday like a donkey. It should be other way around, you know. And after 5 o'clock, everybody is on the WhatsApp. If you see in any meeting in the evening, you invite person for coffee or a beer or something. People are discussing on their WhatsApp. And if you really check what they are discussing, is nothing pertinent, you know. But people's priority is saying our ability to think and how we can go up later. Chinese are better than us. And they have advantage of the common language. They have advantage of force population control and tremendous investment in infrastructure. I'll give you a hilarious example. Me and my daughter went from Shanghai to Guangzhou, 1600 kilometers by train. So we decided that one time we will go by flight, one by train, one by bus, like that. So in that train, we wanted a glass of a bottle of Coca-Cola. And I gave 100 yuan. And the lady was aghast because in China, nobody pays cash. Everybody pays like Paytm and those things. So she did not have money back. She gave me Coca-Cola free because it was easier for her. And she had no choice. So I did because I'd opened, you know, unfortunately. So in a country where there is no cash over there, if you go in China with cash and they want the money, taxi wala will give you a fake currency. Never use cash in China. Never use credit card also is a problem. So then second time we went from Guangzhou to Hong Kong by bus. These are two separate countries. Guangzhou is China, Hong Kong is Hong Kong. They do immigration while you are sitting in the bus. Can you imagine?
More like Singapore and Malaysia.
But here they do it so efficient. And you realize how they plan, how they control you, how they photo. It is so funny that when you put your Indian passport in immigration, immigration, that automatic voice speak, Chin mein aapka swagat hai, Hindi mein. So they know pulses of the world. They are ahead of us, but they have their own weakness. They don't have democracy. They do not have multicultural like us. We are not taking advantage of. Our debates are on the local issues and not on the national issue. So I'm not fan of China. I don't like many things in China, but I like today my conversation. I wanted to keep it where Chinese are better than us. Let us learn that.
I guess everything happens for a reason, and as Benjamin Franklin said, if you don't see reason, she will make you feel her. So for every aspect that China is doing, I guess there is some inherent reason behind it, which is making them more efficient and making them more profitable. But it's good that you touched on the aspect of social media. What I've realized in recent times is most of the multinationals bet on the power of social media as to their reach, their popularity. Their checks are how much Facebook likes they have got, or how much Insta followers they have, what are the eyeballs they have got on their website. So whether we like it or not, it seems as if social media is occupying a very big space in our life, not only personally, even for corporates. So isn't when you say that spending time on social media, isn't that becoming quite a paradox? Because multinationals or corporates are betting on people's time on social media. At the same time, the time on social media is probably not as productive as what would have been had you been working physically.
you have to divide it two ways. Social media uses fully, yes, like today, this moment also we are using social media to communicate with each other. But difficulty is that whether it overpowers your time spent on thinking logically and moving forward. And this is where I have difficulty because social media makes many people sit in alone and talk alone. So eventually they become, their human contact become less. There is no substitute to eye contact. There is no substitute to having a chai or coffee or a beer together, at least not always, but at least occasionally. And also there is no substitute to learn from each other. In social media, biggest advantage, like when you read online newspaper or when you read print newspaper. In print newspaper, you have to read everything when you glance through the paper. In social media newspaper, you will read what you like to read. Eventually, your knowledge will get confined to few things. So I would say that social media users must, but up to night 10, 11 o'clock, instead of social media, if a person can do better health, some sports, some hobby, and also have chat with the friends in any form, preferably face to face, and evolve. And you have the best of both worlds. I would say social media is must, but best of both world will come only if you don't be slave of social media and you think beyond that.
I guess more judicious use of social media is what you are advocating.
And encourage children to control the social media uses and tell them, इसके बदले hobby रखो, sports खेलो, something you learn, something to teach each other. So many things they can do, and that will make them as a better person, more competent person to face the world.
Um, we would also like you to share some of your success mantras going ahead. Now that with COVID, there has been a lot of changes that we have seen. It's changed the way we work. It's changed the way we think. So for the future, for let's say from now to 10 years, what should be our success mantra, or what should be principles underlying our way of working?
First, you identify the industry which are going to be strong for next 10 years. Presently, I can think of is urbanization, agriculture, and food processing, pharma. IT will continue to dominate, and logistics. These five sectors in a different form over there. So if you are associated with these five businesses, you have better chance of growing. India is likely to grow to triple size economy by 2030. So firstly, you go on the board and think, if India is going to be 3 times bigger, where my business is going to be 3 times bigger by 2030 or not. And the business means not only growth of business, but profit also. And if not, what to do? Whether I should reconcile with that fact that I will not grow as fast as India, or I will grow faster than India, or I will grow as fast, whatever. So fundamentally, once you decide it, your way forward will be determined. Then second question, that is option. You have to make 2 or 3 options. What are they? Second is, don't be over judgmental about the people, about your success, about your failure. Because my fundamental thing is that if you take 7 out of 10 point decision right, you are a hero. Because even big people also fail many times. So it's okay. We cannot be judgmental about others and about ourselves and move forward in the life. Thirdly, less conflicts. Less conflict will be the biggest winner in India because we are so conflicting country. Fourth is respect your next generation and see that they can deliver better than us. Most important, I think, that we all should see that our best years are yet to come. Minute when you realize, like suppose after this conversation, whoever is listening, they decide, okay, on 4th October 2020, my yearly business is X or my yearly professional income is so and so. Let me try to make it X plus 15 by 4th October 2021. It may happen, it may not happen, but you first set the goal. Then to achieve the goal, you will start working. And how will I achieve that goal? You will do your skill enhancement. You will do your context development. You will think of borrowing. You will think of investing your efforts, money, whatever is required to be. Once you set the goal, eventually what will happen? Either you will achieve the goal or you will not achieve the goal. But your purpose, that 1 year you become, you're more genuine in your blood that, okay, I have to achieve because this is what I have committed to myself. So you do better. And then step by step you do better. Also, every mistake you learn what not to do next time. I think what to do, like after this conversation, if you segregate what not to do, and then you will make less mistakes. When you make less mistakes, naturally success will be there. Thirdly, I would strongly recommend that cheap need not be inexpensive. So please do not discount yourself thinking that tomorrow your customer will pay you more because you are serving them at below economical cost. No big company does it. And if you want to enjoy it, just go to big shops as a hobby and count which brands of biscuits are lying there. After 15 days, you go, at least 30% brand will vanish. Because what is not working, they move forward. But we cling to it. If your product is not working, justifying how sincerely you develop or your grandfather developed is fine. But if customer doesn't want, what do you do? So for that, dump something what is not acceptable. Unlearn what is not learnable. If you unlearn, then you have space created to learn something more. So I continuously unlearn about that. The number of mistakes, even at this, with age, you make more mistakes. Experience does not save you from making mistakes. But if you know how to move forward with a mistake, then you are fine. So that along with concentrated hard work, I personally feel, Prashant Bhai, once you asked me a question in between, I think our concentration on hard work is not as good as we are thinking. Our feeling is that our Gadha Majuri and quality hard work are two different issues. And young generation, I don't tell the young generation to take life too seriously. Frankly, I think our generation took life too seriously. So we should take life easy and work seriously. And I think there is one of the, if India is growing 3 times, why not we?
Thank you, Suresh Bhai. I think a lot of learning from what you have said, and we go back with a lot of positive attitude. And I think we would love to continue the conversation, but we are running out of time. There are a lot of other questions which are in the chat box, and we would like you to answer them, but we will mail it to you to answer. It's been very nice having you on this session. It's been a learning experience also, and all of us go back with a lot of value addition from this session, Suresh Bhai. Thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you. We are Bhatiyas. We are proud of Bhatiyas, and I'm very sure that all Bhatiyas of South India will do better and better. And one day I will say that I attended Drshtikon, and Drshtikon has been a game changer for Bhatiyas in South India. And I was honored to be participant here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the kind words, Suresh Bhai. It's been a great honor for us also that we could get your Drshtikon or your point of view on the current scenario and your sharing of the family business values. And for all the people who have been part of today's session, we thank you very much for your time. And we will have the next Drshtikon session on 18th of October, same time at 11 o'clock. We would like you to come back for this. Any feedback that you may have, please write into us at drshtikon.talks@gmail.com. That is drshtikon.talks@gmail.com. We would love to have you back on 18th of October. Thank you so much.